Hello guys, it's Chuka here. It's been a while, but welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a friendly camera comparison between the Canon M50 and the Sony a6300. Canon versus Sony. Now the goal of this video is not to try and stir a war or something of that sort between the two camera brands. The goal is to help you make an informed decision on which camera would suit your needs. If you intend on buying a new camera and you're not sure of which brand to go for, this video would show you how the two cameras differ from each other, what each one performs better in and what each one performs worse in. If you don't know already, I use the Canon M50, so I'm going to be on the side of the Canon. Joining with me on the other side is my good friend Creative Sav, who is also a creator on this platform. He uses a Sony a6300, so he's going to be on the side of the Sony. So let's have Sav in the building. Sav!
Hey guys, it's Creative Sav here, and I want to say a big thank you to Chuka for having me on his channel for this collab. So I've been using the Sony a6300 for about a year now, and it's been amazing.
We're going to talk about 15 different aspects of the cameras, which are ease of use, slow motion, 4K resolution, autofocus, focus picking, color science, battery life, low light performance, price, flip LCD screen, reliability or overheating, log, weight, shooting time limits, and image stabilization. We'll talk briefly about each, and any camera that wins in each aspect will be given a point. So, let's begin. Round 1, ease of use. The Canon M50, or rather Canon cameras in general, have a simple, easy to use interface. The menu system is well organized, easy to navigate through, so getting used to this system wouldn't take much time. Right out of the box, it comes with the guided menu display, which helps simplify what the various categories of functions in the menu are all about. But I will recommend you switch to the standard menu display as it's snappier and it gives you quicker access to all the features.
I must say, Sony is really bad at this. The first day I got this camera, I had to go through all the settings one by one. The way they arranged it was weird. They're like lots of tabs at the top and lots of sections. It just confuses anybody that is not used to these things. I have to take about 3 hours to sit down and understand every single part of this setting. Not everybody has that time. So from the bottom of my heart, I know Sony did not try this one.
The Canon M50 wins in this round and hence gets a point. Round 2, slow motion. The Canon M50 is capable of shooting at high frame rates. It shoots 60 frames per second at 1080p, but it shoots 120 frames per second at only 720p, which is a downside if you like shooting at 120 frames per second because of the lower resolution and the less details that you'll be getting at 720p. That is not to say that shooting at 720p is necessarily a bad thing. It's just that in this day, in this age, 2020, 1080p is kind of like the norm. So yeah. Also, when shooting at 120 frames per second on this camera, you don't have access to autofocus. You are limited to manual focus only. There's also no audio when recording at 120 frames per second. It's slowed down already on camera. So if you're shooting 120 frames per second on this camera, it has to be solely with the intent to slow it down in post, nothing else. In summary, shooting at 120 frames per second on this camera is kind of crippling, so what I would suggest that you stick to 1080p 60 frames per second for most or all your slow motion shots, as it has good autofocus, it has audio, and it works really fine.
Slow motion. Well, obviously, Sony shines in this one because you can shoot 60 FPS and 120 FPS at 1080p. Now you can't shoot high frame rates using 4K on this camera, but you can do it in 1080p and it looks sharp, it looks nice. Like, take a look, this is so nice. If you like shooting things like B-roll, like cool sequences, it's gonna look buttery smooth. So I guess Sony wins when it comes to slow motion.
Round 3, 4K resolution. The Canon M50 is capable of shooting 4K video at 24 frames per second, but it comes with a catch, or rather, 2 catches. The first is with regards autofocus. There's autofocus on this mode here, that's on this 4K mode, but it's not the legendary Canon dual pixel autofocus that we've all come to know and love. It actually makes use of what is called contrast-based autofocus, which honestly is not as good and reliable. So if you want to shoot 4K on this camera, I would suggest you use manual focus instead. Nail your focus before you shoot and you're good to go. The second limitation with 4K on this camera is the huge crop on 4K. It has a 2.56x crop, and by crop, here's what I mean. When shooting at this distance with the focal length of my lens set at 15mm, this is how 1080p looks like, and this is how 4K looks like. It crops in 2.56x times, which becomes too tight, too close to my face. That means that to get a wider field of view, I'll have to physically move the camera backwards, which for most people, including myself, isn't ideal, as I like my camera being close to me so that I can easily stretch a bit and change stuff when I want to. An alternative to this is to make use of a wider angled lens, which is what I usually do when I want to shoot 4K. I switch to my 11 to 22mm lens and I shoot at 11mm, and because of the really wide field of view, even when it crops in at 4K, it's still an ideal field of view for shooting videos. Now, this crop may not necessarily be a bad thing for everyone, depending on the type of videos that you make. If you make sports or wildlife videos, you're most likely going to be far away from your subject. So this could be an advantage, as you'll be able to crop in even further at 4K and get closer detailed shots of your subjects.
I think this was the first mirrorless camera from Sony to have 4K capability, and that's what marketed it for the whole part. You can shoot in 4K at 24 FPS and at 30 FPS, and it looks really nice. Compared to the 1080p, you have to actually test it and see the difference to actually know it looks sharper, just more accurate. Unlike some other cameras that when you switch into 4K, it crops in a ton. This camera is not like that. It gives you your accurate aspect ratio when you shoot in 4K. It doesn't really crop in like that. And the autofocus is actually very good. You don't notice so much of a difference shooting in 1080p and 4K in my experience.
The Sony X-T300 wins in this round and hence gets 8 points. Round 4, autofocus. Have you ever heard of the legendary Canon Dual Pixel autofocus? If you haven't, then just know that it's like the best autofocus in the game, and this camera has that autofocus. And if you want to learn more about the autofocus feature of this camera, just click here to watch that video. In general, what you need to know is that the autofocus of this camera is something that you can count on. It's reliable, it's fast, it gets the job done. You can count on it not to fail you.
I know Canon users will be shouting now, Dual Pixel autofocus, yeah. Thank you. When this camera was released, when the A6300 was released, it was marketed with something called the 4D focus. What that basically means is that instead of just focusing using the 3 dimensions, it also adds one more dimension called time. So what that means basically is if you're recording someone running and you want to keep track of the person, nail focus while the person is moving, you can also track the person using time. It would anticipate where the person is going to. Some people say it's a gimmick. I don't know if it makes any meaningful difference, but it's there and that's what they marketed as.
The Canon M50 wins in this round and hence gets 8 points. Round 5, focus picking. This is like a manual focus assist. This is a feature that comes in handy when you're shooting videos with manual focus. The Canon M50 has this feature and it lets you to know exactly what's in focus. It makes use of colors either red, yellow or blue. In my case, it's set on red, and while turning the focus ring, the parts covered in red indicate that those areas are in focus.
Yep, focus picking is enabled in this camera and it works perfectly fine. I can't imagine using manual focus without focus picking. Like cameras that don't have focus picking, how are you going to know what is exactly in focus without focus?
Because both cameras have reliable focus picking features, this round is a draw, it's a tie, it's a draw, it's a tie. I think that they mean the same thing. And so a point goes to each camera. Round 6, color science. Canon has been known for its superb color science, and this camera doesn't fall short. Straight out of camera, the colors that come out from this camera are pretty decent, which helps to reduce time spent color correcting when in post.
Okay, we have heard. Canon has the best color science across board, we know that. But Sony does a good job. It doesn't do a marvelously great job, no, but it does a good job. Like this you're watching right now in this moment is straight from the camera. No processing, this is exactly how it came out from the camera. Does it look good? But then it depends on the kind of videographer you are. Like I prefer color grading and getting my shots to look exactly how I want it to look. So shooting in log has been nice for me.
The Canon M50 wins in this round and hence gets 8 points. Hey guys, if you're getting value from this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications. And let's get into round 7, battery life. The battery life on this camera, that's the Canon M50, is just meh. It's not the best in any form. It uses an LPE12 battery, which has an 875 mAh battery capacity. Long story short, be sure to have at least 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 spare batteries if you're going to be able to shoot events, weddings that require a lot of shooting time.
Battery life. Normal life. Small battery. If you're planning on shooting weddings, events and that kind of thing, just go and buy battery, plenty, like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Plenty extra batteries so you can swap them out anytime. As for me, from my experience, there was a shoot I did at a gym and I used just 100% full battery throughout the whole process. And how I was able to do that is as soon as I was done shooting, when I have my shot, I turn it off immediately, like take your shot, action! Turn off. If you're in a situation where you can control the type of shot you are getting and you can turn off your camera immediately you have gotten the shot, and it will actually last basically half a day for you. But it's still recommended get more batteries.
Both batteries aren't great, but the Sony A6300 wins in this round because it had a bigger battery capacity of 1020 mAh. So a point goes to the Sony A6300. Round 8, low light performance. The Canon M50 is a crop sensor camera. It's not a full frame camera. And crop sensor cameras make use of just a crop of the sensor. It doesn't make use of the full width of the sensor just like full frame cameras. And as a result of that, it doesn't perform well in low light when compared to full frame cameras. The highest ISO value that you can set on this camera and still get somewhat clean footage is 800. Personally, I try not to go above 400. Like right now I'm shooting at ISO 400, but I know that there are cases whereby you have no other choice but to go above 800. Like when you're out vlogging and you're in a room with poor lighting and stuff. Just know that the Canon M50 won't perform well in those situations. You're going to get grainy footage or noisy footage or muddy footage or whatever you call it, but it's not going to be nice, it's not going to be clean, it's not going to be sweet.
Well, the Sony wins on this one because Sony cameras, they are known for their low light performance, especially from grids like A7 III upward, but this camera, it does really good. You can actually shoot at ISOs 1000, 2000, 3200, 4000 and to actually still look good without too much grain. So I can proudly say Sony is a winner on this one.
Round 9, price. The price of the Canon M50 alternates quite a bit. It ranges from $499 to $599. As at the time of shooting this video, it cost $599, and for that price point, you're getting so much value for the money. You can't go wrong with the Canon M50 at that price.
Well, Sony no longer makes this camera, it's been discontinued for a while now, but if you were getting it initially, it was actually about $1,000 or more with the kit lens. Right now, you can still get it used or refurbished and it will work perfectly fine. Like I got this one last year used and it's still working.
Because of the lower price point and the greater value for money that you'll be getting from the Canon M50, it wins this round and hence gets the points. Round 10, flip LCD screen. The Canon M50 has a flip LCD screen. That is a screen that can flip sideways, which is very useful in many situations, such as when vlogging, to quickly see how you look and easily make necessary adjustments before you start shooting. It's useful when you're trying to get a top-down shot. It helps you to properly see what you're doing, to get your framing right, and so on. It's also touchscreen, and this allows you to easily change any setting directly on the screen if you want to, without needing to make use of its physical buttons.
Sony flip screen. We have been begging Sony since forever, since they released A6000. Give us flip screen. They said no. Really, people have said this 3 times without number. Why is it so hard for Sony to make flip screen? Just flip it. Anyways, this camera doesn't have a flip screen. You can only tilt it upwards and downwards to see it from the top or from below. That's all you get.
The Canon M50 wins in this round and hence gets the point. Round 11, reliability. And in this context, we're talking about overheating. And in this case, the Canon M50 does not overheat in any shooting modes. So you can count on it not to overheat when you're out shooting.
Whew. I've used this camera at an event before and it did not last the test of time. After shooting 4K for extended periods, this camera is going to heat up. It's going to feel like somebody is cooking something in your hands. But I'm over exaggerating, but it's going to feel hot over time.
Canon M50 wins in this round and hence gets the points. Round 12, log. Log is a very flat picture profile, and being able to shoot in log helps you to get more dynamic range from a camera, and it also gives you more room to color grade in post. Sadly, the Canon M50 can't shoot in log, but what you can do to get something flat, not log level flat, is to go to your picture profile settings and take the contrast, saturation and sharpness bars all the way down, reduce it all the way down. Thank me later.
Now, this is another thing that makes this camera special. You have access to S-Log, which is basically Sony version of log profiles. But if you go through the menu and go to color profiles, you won't see S-Log there. You would see PP7 and PP8. PP7 is S-Log 2, and PP8 is S-Log 3. PP basically means picture profile. Now this is great because you can basically color grade your footage anyhow you want it to give it the look you want. So it depends on the kind of shooter you are. I like having the flexibility to be able to color grade my footage and give it the specific look I want. But I recommend I use S-Log 2 because it has everything you need to dial in your look very specifically. So I think the Sony wins this one.
Round 13, weight. The Canon M50 weighs 387 grams, and this makes it a very small and lightweight camera. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, is this a joke? It's so light, which helps reduce fatigue when you're out shooting for a long period of time. And that's one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, why I love this camera. Man, don't like heavy stuff.
Now this is a mirrorless camera, and this specific one comes in about 453 grams. It's pretty light, but there again, compared to the M50, it's pretty heavy. But then it's actually very light when you actually use it day to day compared to using a DSLR camera. It's mirrorless, it's meant to be light. You could hold it and forget it's in your hand. And depending on the lens you are using to determine if it's that heavy or not.
So the Canon M50 wins in this round because of its lighter weight and hence gets a point. Round 14, shooting time limit. The maximum record time limit you can get from this camera is 30 minutes. After recording for 30 minutes, the camera stops recording and you're going to have to hit the record button again to continue recording.
Shooting time limit, 30 minutes. At 30 minutes, this camera turns off. You have to restart the recording. I don't know why, but then that's one of the features of the camera. But theoretically though, I've not actually tried this because I prefer shooting specific shots, not leaving the camera running. Theoretically, you can connect a power bank to this camera and shoot forever, theoretically.
Because both cameras have a recording time limit of 30 minutes, this round is a draw and hence both cameras get a point. Last but not the least, round 15, which is image stabilization. The Canon M50 does not have in-body image stabilization, which is popularly known as IBIS, but it has electronic image stabilization, which is also known as digital image stabilization, which when enabled crops in a bit, but it helps to make your footage more steady, especially when you're shooting stuff like B-rolls, handheld, and you want to get the most steady footage possible. There's also an enhanced mode of the digital stabilization, but I personally never use it because it crops in even more, and it also sometimes gives a warpy kind of look, which isn't cool by any means.
No image stabilization. If you desperately need image stabilization and you're a Sony fan, you should probably consider the A6400 or the A6500, which are the senior brothers of this guy.
Canon M50 wins this round and hence gets the points. So the winner is, drumroll please, Canon M50! But then again, they are both decent cameras. It all depends on what you need the camera for. Which of the features appeal to you more? Which one do you care about the most and which one do you care about the least? And from there, you're going to be able to decide which one is a better fit for you. Thank you, sir, for coming here to share knowledge about your camera. Guys, go check him out on Instagram at TheCreativeSav and here on YouTube as Creative Sav. He makes really dope content. Link to his YouTube channel will be down in the description below. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please, thank you. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave a comment if you have any, if you want to ask any question, talk to me in the comment section. Which camera are you feeling more? Which camera do you like? Are you planning on getting any one of them? If you have any questions, talk to me again. I think I said that before, but again. Anyways, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.